Welcome to the Fate Spun channel, a place where every story will make you feel, wonder, and hold your breath. Are you ready? Then go ahead. Hi, my name is Joshua, and I want to share a story that happened 6 years ago. My best friend Thomas was like a brother to me. We met in middle school in Portland, Oregon, and had been inseparable ever since. In 2017, Thomas was going through one of the toughest times of his life. He was married, had 2 kids, and they lived in an old house that had been passed down from his grandmother. That year, his wife Emily lost her job, and he was working as a mechanic, barely earning enough to cover their bills. One evening, when we met at a local diner, Thomas confided in me that the bank was threatening to take their house due to unpaid mortgage payments. He looked broken, but when I offered to help, he adamantly refused. His pride wouldn't allow him to accept money from anyone, even his closest friends. I couldn't just stand by. The next day, I found the bank's number that held his mortgage, and I contacted them. I managed to find out how much they owed and secretly transferred the required amount. It was $12,000, almost all my savings at the time. I arranged with the bank to keep the donor anonymous. A few days later, Thomas called me with incredible news. "Josh, you won't believe it. Someone completely cleared our debt. The bank said it was an anonymous donor." He was so happy he cried on the phone, and I just said, "That's amazing. You must have deserved it." Since then, he's constantly said how he wished he could find this person to thank them. And here I am, listening, not saying a word. On the one hand, I'm glad I helped, but on the other, sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing by keeping it from him. Now, every time we meet, I see his gratitude for this anonymous hero. And I know my secret will stay with me forever. Story 2, I pranked my neighbor into thinking. My robot vacuum was a ghost. Hi, my name is Evan, and this story happened 2 years ago when I moved to a new neighborhood in Charlotte, North Carolina. I decided to buy a robot vacuum. It was one of those models that works very quietly and has an automatic start feature. In the first week after the purchase, my downstairs neighbor Kevin, a quirky but friendly guy, knocked on my door around 11 p.m. He looked a bit confused. "Hey man, I heard some strange noises like someone moving furniture." "Did you hear anything?" he asked. I explained that it was probably my new vacuum and showed it to him. Kevin seemed relieved, but still a little tense. A few days later, I noticed that the robot had turned on in the middle of the night, even though I hadn't planned for it. I went downstairs and realized that the sound was eerily unsettling if you didn't know its source. I remembered Kevin's visit and decided to play a little prank. I found some wind-like sounds and faint whispers on YouTube, connected a speaker, and hid it behind the couch. With the robot vacuum going and the sounds playing, it created a pretty creepy atmosphere. The next evening, Kevin called me. "Evan, something's going on in my apartment. I can't explain it, but it sounds like a ghost." I could barely hold back my laughter and pretended to be concerned. We even discussed calling in a paranormal investigator. Over the next week, Kevin started avoiding his apartment after dark. He slept at his friends' houses and told everyone his place was haunted. When he asked if I had noticed anything unusual, I almost cracked and wanted to admit it. But then I thought, just a little longer. Eventually, I felt guilty and confessed. He looked like he wanted to kill me at first, but then he burst into laughter. "You're a genius, but you owe me a beer for all the sleepless nights," he said. Now, we're best friends, and every time he sees the robot vacuum, he reminds me of that ghost. Story: Neighborhood Monitoring. My name is James, and I have always considered myself a normal, rational person. But what happened last summer still makes me question reality. I live in a small town near Seattle. I have a cozy house on the outskirts, not many neighbors, and I used to love sitting in the backyard in the evenings, enjoying the silence. One day, my neighbor Mark, a strange but friendly man, invited me over for dinner. He was obsessed with technology and had a house full of cameras and monitors. Over dinner, he told me that he had installed cameras in even the most unexpected places, including the forest nearby. He said, "There's something strange going on out there, James. Have you ever heard strange noises at night?" I shrugged it off, thinking it was just another one of Mark's fantasies. But later that night, as I was falling asleep, I heard something behind my house. It sounded like a metal scraping, which quickly changed to barely audible footsteps. I thought it was just an animal and didn't pay much attention to it. A few days later, Mark called me again, this time excited. He invited me to watch the footage from his cameras. One of the videos, shot at night near the forest, showed something strange. A dark figure, human-like but too tall and disproportionate, moving very quickly between the trees. It stopped, as if it sensed that it was being filmed, and looked directly at the camera. "It's some kind of recording error," I said, trying not to show that I was already in cold fear inside. The next night, things got even worse. I heard the same sounds again, but now they were closer. When I looked out the window, I saw something in the backyard, the same dark figure standing motionless, looking directly at my house. I jumped up, turned on all the lights, but when I looked out again, there was no one there. The next morning I called Mark, but he didn't answer. I decided to go to his house, but the door was open. Inside the house, it looked like he was running away in a hurry. Things scattered around, monitors working, and on one of the monitors, I saw something that still haunts me in my dreams. It was a video from his living room. Mark was sitting in front of the camera, looking scared, and behind him slowly appeared the same figure. It leaned toward him, and the video suddenly cut off. Mark was never seen again. The police said he probably just drove away, but I know that's not true. Every night I wonder if this figure is watching me now. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to leave a comment. See you in the next video. Good luck!